Caesar famously stated while he was being stabbed to death, "Et tu, Brute," and that's the familiar form of the word Brutus. And Latin being a word of language of few words and many meanings, what that actually meant was Caesar was crying out in his anguish and pain. That in addition to that, there was, "You, thou too, my friend Brutus, whom I shared bread with, and I regarded as my friend, thou too are betraying me and stabbing me with my enemies." That was perhaps an insult worse than the injury of the actual death. Similarly, the Air Resources Board both brought the electric car to life and then subsequently killed the electric car by allowing the automakers to strike a perverse deal in 2003, March and April. The automakers, in exchange for being allowed to crush their electric cars, would propose to promise to do fuel cell cars sometime in the future, 2015 or 2018, and back-ending that requirement so it really didn't start to take effect until 2015. Now that the time is getting close for that, the car makers are saying that they need more time, 2023 or maybe 2030. Of course, we knew at the time that is all technically hogwash, that they're not going to be able to bring fuel cell cars to market. Not now, not in the future. It's just not technically, practically possible to do fuel cell cars with small cars. If it were, then the big question is, why go to fuel cells and hydrogen at 10,000 psi or 20,000 psi when we already have cars that are CNG cars and trucks that work fine at 3,600 psi, and we don't have to invent the fuel cell stack. The CNG cars and trucks are here with a well-proven technology. So what the Air Resources Board did technically was to create a so-called alternative path to compliance with the Zero Emission Vehicle mandate that allowed the automakers to scrap their EV program in exchange for this future fuel cell research. And they spent hundreds of millions of dollars poured down that rat hole. Maybe they believed it, maybe it was just a cover story. We don't know. But in the meantime, they killed the electric car, and now they're trying to weasel out of the further requirements to do either standard path to ZEV mandate or the future path. Now, we're going to go visit the Air Resources Board today. This is their meeting in Diamond Bar. Usually it's in Sacramento, but today it's in Diamond Bar at the South Coast Air Quality Management District. The board is different today from the board that killed the electric car back in 2003. So they have to be reminded of this evil bargain that they struck, and that they have to continue the ZEV mandate. Instead of back-ending the requirement, the people of California demand that they front-end the requirement. While the Air Resources Board is concentrating on attacking chrome platers and haberdashers, cleaners, and exhaust from lawnmowers and other off-road diesel and things like that, the big evil monster that they're ignoring is the relationship between autos and refineries. We have these refineries spewing out nitrous and nitrous and sulfurous acid, which turns into nitric and sulfuric acid in the presence of ozone and sunlight. And this also comes from auto exhaust. And this is the giant gorilla, the evil gorilla that's in the room, while the Air Resources Board just studiously ignores it. Well, when this report was presented to them back in June, or I guess it was June, they just stood there, listening to it as if nothing. And it takes the members of the general public to point out the awful implications of them allowing the automakers and refineries to continue to push these healthcare and other costs onto the taxpayer. The Air Resources Board needs to stick to the Zero Emission Vehicle mandate, needs to start charging the refineries for their portion of the pollution that is created, part of the suffering that's created by the oil refineries, not just in exhaust, but also in the destruction of wetlands and the water damage that they do. Little known fact, the oil extraction and refining industry is the largest industrial user of electric and natural gas in California. Now, when they say that electric is dirty because it comes from coal, how come the electric that is used to refine gasoline, oil into gasoline, is clean, whereas the electric that's used to power electric cars is supposed to be dirty? This is one of the lies that the oil refineries and automakers use. And we must confront CARB and ask them to do the right thing to the people of California, because all they're listening to, and now are the oil companies and the people who paid lobbyists for the auto companies.